Pauldorfman is an associate fellow at the Science Policy Research Unit at the University of Sussex in the UK, and he joins us now live from Paris. It's a pleasure to have you on the program today. Now, first off, just walk us through some of the issues that come with this rise in countries investing and upgrading their arsenals.
Yes, it's incredibly troubling. What seems to be interesting is that when Russia said au revoir, goodbye to the Cold War, we were at about 70,000 nuclear weapons. And then there was a huge disarmament. Now, what has happened recently in terms of Ukraine, and unfortunately Russia's involvement, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, all this seems to have changed. So there's something very interesting about what Russia does and doesn't do in terms of the kinds of threats that we all can be facing in terms of nuclear weapons.
So you think that the war in Ukraine has triggered this increase, or were these nuclear powers already upgrading their arsenals before Russia's offensive?
There's no question. It just seems very, very obvious that this is exactly what's happening. And of course, what we're also seeing is the weaponization of civil nuclear plant with the Russian occupation of Chernobyl and Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which, as the US ambassador to the UN said, by the grace of God, we didn't have a nuclear catastrophe. So we're seeing two things on two fronts. Firstly, a destabilization of military nuclear. And secondly, we're seeing the weaponization of civil nuclear, which throws significant questions associated with both of these issues.
How difficult is it going to be, looking forward, to make progress on disarmament over the coming years?
Progress won't be made if aggression continues, because what will happen is that people will see what happened with Ukraine. Ukraine is a civil military, but it said, okay, we're going to give up our nuclear military, and I hope that we will be back, which actually didn't happen. So as long as there is elements of aggression going on, then demilitarization of nuclear looks profoundly problematic. And so we're getting to a point at which before, we thought that the Cold War was over. We thought that the risk of nuclear annihilation was, a thing of the past. Unfortunately, increasingly, we're seeing that these things can happen. And in that sense, there seems to be some very real questions that need to be asked about the Russian military, the Russian military hierarchy in terms of what may or may not happen in the context of Ukraine.
All right. Pauldorfman, thank you so much for joining us here on TRT World and sharing that insight with us.